start off with some basic questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, your name, your age, where you live, and your occupation.
My name is Jing Mao, and my Chinese name is Chen Qing. I am almost 52 years old, and I am a high school teacher.
So, what role does the noodle play in your family? How often do you eat noodles? In what setting? Do you have family traditions concerning the noodle? And, do you make your own noodles? Never.
I have to say my family does like noodles more than rice. So based on that preference, we eat more noodle than rice. And the type of noodle cooking we probably have the most, I would say it's some type of soup noodle. And we usually just cook dry noodle, and maybe once a year, twice a year, we will make our own noodle since it's very time consuming.
Yeah. So, like, I remember in class we made jiaozi.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever make jiaozi at home?
Yes, I make jiaozi, and also I make another type of dumplings. In the Western world, people call that wonton.
Oh, okay.
My family likes soup, so when you make a wonton, and it usually goes with chicken broth or veggie broth, so my family prefers that more than jiaozi.
You said that during special occasions you make special noodles, like the jiaozi and wonton. So, do you have any thoughts or additions about the special occasion noodle?
I would say, since we eat noodles so often, I no longer consider noodle as a special food to my family. Actually, I feel making noodle is easier than cooking a regular Chinese meal. You have rice, and then you have to cook 3 or 4 dishes to go along with rice. With noodles, you can be very creative. You can make the regular noodle, just plain noodle with some seasoning in there, or you can do the stir-fry noodle, or have some soup, chicken broth, or a whole pot of soup to go along with the noodle. So you have different ways to cook noodle. So it's really fun to make noodles.
Okay. So you don't like a certain type of noodle that you make. You just kind of you can be creative with it. Is there a name for it, or you just whatever you want to do?
The noodle I like to cook for my family usually is the soup noodle.
Is that just what it's called?
I would have a pot of homemade chicken broth ready, and then cook some noodles, and the chicken broth goes along with the noodles.
There's a type of soup noodle. Do you have any stories or myths you recall associated with noodles? Like growing up or anything?
Growing up, since I was a small child, I always remember this tradition almost every single Chinese family shares, which is you have to eat noodle on your birthday.
Okay, the long life noodles.
Yes, noodle does symbolize longevity. So we have to have noodles, even though on your birthday you don't necessarily crave for noodle, but just for that symbolic meaning, your mom would still cook noodle for you.
Okay, cool. Is it so we've talked about the long life noodles in the past, and we talked about it as a major milestone birthdays, or do you do it every year on your birthday?
Pretty much for every single birthday, for every single family member in my family, we have to eat noodle.
Okay.
Sometimes, on one of my children's birthday, I forgot to cook noodle, and my children would remind me, Mom, you forgot to cook something for me. I said, oh my gosh.
How can I forget?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what does the noodle mean to you? Might be kind of broad.
I think I like noodles. I would say growing up, my family did eat more noodle or 饺子 or the steamed bun more often than rice, because my mom, growing up in my own family, my mom was the one cooking meals for the family. And my mom is, she was from northern China. So people, the northerners in China, they eat more noodles than people from the south. So having a mom at home cooking more noodles or making more 饺子 or wonton more often than rice. So, you just get used to, that type of preference.
Did your mom taught Chinese or something?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes.
So she still had time to make these things and teach also.
Yes. When we were little, in these days, people's lifestyle is very different from the times when I grew up. When I was small, I remember we always ate at home. It's very rarely people would go out and then have like a whole banquet in a restaurant. People just always cook, on daily basis, or for big gathering, people always cook at home or entertain friends and family at home. But in these days, you don't find that very often.
Yeah. Which region are you from?
I'm from Southwest.
What is your favorite local noodle? What makes it unique?
The most famous noodle in my hometown is called dandan noodle.
Oh, okay, dandan.
Mm-hmm. And I cook that very often for my family and also in my classroom for my students too.
We made it.
Yes. I would say the most distinguished part about dandan noodle is it's spicy.
Mm-hmm.
It has lots of flavor, so that's why people like it so much.
So, do you have a favorite noodle restaurant? I want to know this anyways.
No, not really. Not in Chattanooga. But a few months ago, there was a Japanese or Chinese Japanese restaurant open. It's called Tai Chi Bubble Tea. So they serve ramen noodle.
Okay.
The way they cook noodle is in the Japanese way. Since I like noodle, my family likes noodle, so we tried it a few times and we like it.
Are there any cultural rituals and symbolisms that you personally associate with noodles?
I would say kind of like offspring from noodle would be 饺子. I always enjoy making 饺子 at home or in my classroom with my students because the activity of making 饺子 just symbolize the importance of family, having the family and the friends over and everybody participate in this food making activity while you are making 饺子 together, and also you chat, talk about what's going on in your life, just update on each other's life. So it's really a fun activity, and I hope in the Chinese culture people will carry on this tradition.
How do noodles and eating noodles affect your health and wellness? What are your thoughts on instant noodles?
I know instant noodle is not healthy, but I like the flavor. So I really have to, place the self-control on myself and make sure I don't eat the instant noodle more than once a week.
So it's like the ones in the cup or like
Right.
just throw them in there for 2 minutes.
The
Nice.
ramen noodle,
Nice.
typical ramen noodle. Everybody likes its flavor, but knows its chemical stuff.
Yeah.
Not good. Yeah.
So what about like the non packaged version, just like noodles in general? What do you feel about those, like in terms of health wise? Like, do you think that they're healthy?
I think. My general principle is no matter how healthy one food is, you have to balance the portion about that food, how much you eat. So even though I like the noodle very much, but I don't want to consume too much carbs. So I want to make sure that when I make the soup noodle, I put the noodle in the chicken broth, and then always add plenty of vegetable in there.
Yeah.
So let's balance it out.
Okay. Has your habit of eating noodles changed over time?
It did change a little bit. I'm from the southwest region. The province where I grew up is called Sichuan province, and it's famous for its spicy food. So I love spicy food growing up and ate lots of spicy food. But after marrying my husband, who is from Hong Kong, so his preference is very different from mine, and he didn't eat spicy food before we got married, and so he's more used to the Cantonese style of food, which has lots of soup and light in flavor. So after we got married, and to try to accommodate both of our needs, I started to make more soup noodle. And then whenever I want to make myself happy, I just add the chili oil into my own bowl to satisfy my own needs. Yeah,
that's amazing. So when you came to class, you had like a jar like this big of like chili oil.
I still make that.
You do? Yeah, you said that you made it at home. That's wild.
I still like that.
Do you associate noodles with any kind of emotion?
I don't know if I can say there is any relationship, to me at least, between emotion and the noodle. But since I always feel it's more fun to cook noodle than rice, because there are so many different ways you can cook noodle. You can do stir fry, you can do soup noodle. So I often found out it's easier. It takes less time to make a noodle meal. So whenever I'm tired, I'm very busy, and go home late, just to make a very quick meal, but still healthy, and also still something my family likes. I usually just cook a soup noodle meal.
Do you know of any art associated with the noodle?
I have seen people using the dough. Like some family, especially in the northern region in China, people like to make their own fresh noodle. So they always have some dough ready in the kitchen. And I have seen people using that dough to make like flour, a dog or cat.
Oh, that's cool.
Using the noodle dough to make that.
So you said that you don't have like a relationship with making noodles, I guess. No. How important do you think the noodle is in defining the Chinese culture? Is it possible to separate your culture from the noodle?
I don't think it's possible. I think noodle definitely, just as rice, plays a very important role in Chinese people's daily noodles.
Could you share a favorite recipe and the stories around that recipe? You make like the soup noodle, but it's just kind of like creative, whatever you're feeling, whatever you've got. And you made a bunch of stuff for us. I remember that. We even had horrible.
Yeah, I think my students, as you know, are American students. The noodles I cook for them and I like most by them is dada noodle. So I do have the recipe for dada noodle.
Really?
Yeah, if you like it, I
Yes.
can share that with you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, better than I thought.
It could have gone worse. I will definitely take a recipe.
Yes,
So I definitely made it with you.
I made them in the class before, so I can forward you the recipe I have.
Yay!